What's up everyone, my name is Trevor and I am the Gaming Goomba. Look, I know it's been like 4 months since the last time I made a video, but hey, at least it wasn't an 8-month hiatus like last time. That's gotta be good for something, right? Anyways, to make up the lack of content, I decided I'm going to tell you guys about the future, and probably be wrong about it. 2020 has been a great year, if your entire life revolves around new video game console releases like mine. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and Series S both stormed onto the market last month, and one of them has been a raving success. And obviously the raving success was the Xbox Series S. In all seriousness, new console releases are an exciting time. Well, they were 15 years ago when a new console generation meant revolutionary changes to the video game industry, whereas now the resolution and frame rate just gets a little bit better, but hey! New plastic to display is always exciting in its own special way. This past generation was a rather weird one for Nintendo. Nintendo got started early for some reason with the release of the Wii U in November of 2012, and the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 released a whole year later in November of 2013. Nintendo has always been pretty adamant about the fact that they do not see themselves as direct competitors of Sony and Microsoft, and they kind of just do their own thing. But I still thought it was kind of weird that they decided to launch the Wii U so early with the huge success that the Wii was. But hey, maybe Nintendo getting a head start on the generation will give them a better chance at competing with Sony and Microsoft. It didn't. Things got even weirder for Nintendo when they had to jump ship early with the Wii U failing to find success. The result was Nintendo having to release their next console nearly 4 years before its competitors in March of 2017, and also resulting in Nintendo being the only company to release 2 consoles in the 8th generation of video games. Thankfully, the big end found their footing with the Nintendo Switch, and have thus far sold nearly 70 million units, and it's on track to compete with the Wii in terms of total sales. While us Nintendo fans are riding high with this newfound success, with the release of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and the 4th anniversary of the Nintendo Switch looming, it might be time to start asking, what's next? Obviously, there are rumors flying around of a Switch Pro, but I'm talking brand new console. New name, new branding, new game case, the whole shebang. I know we're feeling good about the Switch right now, but this next console release might be the most important in Nintendo's long history. Since the launch of the Game Boy, Nintendo has always had their portable consoles to fall back on in case of failure in the home console market. While the N64 and GameCube weren't selling as well as expected, the Game Boy Advance and DS were there to pick up the slack. And honestly, if Nintendo didn't have the 3DS selling 75 million units during the awful Wii U years, things could look very different for them today. Now, the Switch, we have a problem. Nintendo made the decision to combine their home console and portable console markets with the release of the Nintendo Switch. Now, don't get me wrong, this was the right decision at the time. However, this is going to make things very challenging in the future. If Nintendo puts out another dud like the Wii U that only sells around 10 million units, that's all they've got. They no longer have a Game Boy or a DS to fall back on, so Nintendo has no room for error. So if for some reason you're a corporate bigwig up at Nintendo watching this video, it is your lucky day, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to make sure your next console is a raving success. First things first, the branding. To this day, I still have friends who don't know if the Wii U is a whole other console or just a tablet for the Wii. You can't do that again. I feel like Nintendo may shy away from using the Switch brand again just because it didn't work out for the Wii U, but come on guys. It was the Wii U. I'm going to go simple but effective. Call this thing to Switch 2 and move on. There's no need to overthink this. Obviously they're going to stick with the hybrid console concept, so it just doesn't make sense to change the name. It worked fine for the Super Nintendo, and it'll work fine here. Next is the console itself. What do you carry over from the Switch, what do you leave behind, and what do you add? Obviously, you improve the display both on and off TV. When playing in dock mode, you need 4K support, and an upgrade to 1080p on the portable screen would be just fine. I would also upgrade the dock itself, make it bulkier, sturdier, and less cheap feeling overall. Add a couple more USB ports, provide more protection for the screen, and I think you're golden. Also, fix the Joy-Cons, period. Now as for the actual console, I think you need to lean a little bit more into the portable aspect. I love my Switch just as much as the next guy, but it's just huge and not the most convenient to travel with. I personally would go back to the clamshell design. This would make the console more portable and give the screen even more protection. As far as performance goes, I wouldn't expect it to compare to the PlayStation 5 or the Series X, but I do think they should at least try to inch a little bit closer to them to make it a little easier on third-party developers to port their games. Finally, let's talk software. I'll mostly be covering first-party support in this segment. I think Nintendo is doing great in terms of software on the Switch. The only thing I would do is try to get some of those marquee franchises that couldn't make it to the Switch on over to the next generation. I'm talking F-Zero, Punch-Out, Star Fox, etc. While these franchises might not be the most popular with the general public, it will get the big Nintendo-centric YouTubers excited, and in turn, that excitement could spread to the general public and just generate more buzz overall. In terms of the physical games themselves, I think Nintendo should continue with cartridges. One of my favorite things about buying physical games on the Switch is that I don't have to take up 50 plus gigs of my system's memory for one game, and I think a lot of other people appreciate that too. Since it doesn't seem likely that we will ever get a return to the traditional virtual console format, I think at the very minimum they should just port over the NES, SNES, and whatever other applications we have at the end of the Switch's life on over to the new console and just continue to build on them. Slowly trickling out these games again is just going to piss everybody off. The most important thing in terms of software for the next Nintendo console, in my opinion, is going to be whether or not the system supports backwards compatibility. As I said before, I think Nintendo is doing great in terms of software on the Switch. The Switch has got a great assortment of new original games, and basically has the entire Wii U library to go along with it. Guys like me have built up fairly substantial Switch collections, and backwards compatibility would make us way more willing to pull a trigger on a new console purchase. That is for the most part everything I want to see from Nintendo on their next console. As I said before, I think that this next console is going to be the most important in Nintendo's history, and I really hope they get it right. Do you guys disagree with anything I said, or do you want to add anything? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.